Hello, Rasitavas. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you can hear me all right because there is a bit of noise coming from outside. Hopefully, it won't interfere with this video. So anyway, today we're talking about mortgages, especially for those who are contemplating or entertaining the idea of relocating back home. And by home, I mean, if you're someone like me, you come from Zimbabwe originally, or maybe you come from Kenya, India, Portugal, wherever you come from, whatever you call home. If you're in that frame of mind where you're starting to brainstorm as to what that might actually look like. And also, if you're a native of this country and you're thinking, you know what, I want to leave the UK to start a brand new life, maybe in Dubai, maybe in Thailand, wherever you're thinking to relocate to, and you've got a mortgage, you might be wondering, what am I going to do with my house? Like, where do I begin? Because let me speak for myself. My mortgage is my biggest headache when it comes to that move, relocating back to Zimbabwe. Because, like I said in some of my videos, this is something that I'm entertaining. I'm now at that brainstorming stage. I'm starting to think about it more and more. Of course, I've got kids as well. They're also, one of my worries as well. So to prepare for this video, I actually called my mortgage lender. I said, look, I've got this mortgage, but I'm also thinking about going back home at some point in the future. So I just want to know what my options are when it comes to my mortgage. So as we discussed the options, he mentioned some of the obvious ones, like selling your home, renting it out. But what I didn't realize are the implications of doing that. So that's what I want to share with you in this video. There are many more options, of course, which I want to share with you as well, because home ownership is one of those things that can feel like a trap, because unless you know what you're doing or you know where to begin, it will be a big headache for you if you're planning to relocate, because you need to know where to start. So this is what I want to share with you in this video. So to do this, I'm going to give scenarios. Scenario number one is someone who wants to leave the UK with an outstanding mortgage. If you haven't finished paying off your mortgage and you want to relocate, then you may want to communicate that to your mortgage lender, because some mortgage lenders have got stipulations when it comes to moving abroad. So open that communication, like explore your options depending on your situation. So yeah, communication with the mortgage lender is important. I would say that that is like the first thing you need to do, because yes, we have people who are saying they relocated, but what you've got to remember is that we've got different circumstances and we've got different conditions depending on what type of mortgage, where you are in terms of repayment and all that. So it is always wise to talk to your mortgage lender, because they're the ones who can tell you how things apply to your situation. So communication is the first thing you need to do. Like, start weighing your options before things happen. The second scenario is selling your property before relocation. When it comes to this scenario, there are several things to consider. One of those things is to do with the market. You must consider the current property market. Is it a favorable time for you to sell your property? How much are you going to get? Because there are times when the value of the property goes down, like there's so much depreciation, and you don't want to sell your house when things are like that. You want to wait until the market is favorable, because when you sell your house, it is with the hope of making a bit of profit, because you want to make money from your house, because all those years of you repaying your house, you want to make something out of it, right? So things like that will influence your decision. So this is something to bear in mind. The second thing as well, under the same scenario of selling your property before relocation, is to do with the process and timeline, because there are several steps that you need to take before you can actually sell your house, before you can actually sign the dotted line. First of all, your home has to be evaluated. You need to find out how much it is worth, and then it has to be listed, where you take pictures, put your property online so that people can see and decide whether it's a property that they want to buy. The same process that you go through when you're looking for a house to rent or to buy is the same process your house is going to go through. And also conveyancing as well. There are several steps that you need to take before you can actually sell the house. You're not going to put your property on the market today and sell it the next day or the next week. It doesn't always happen like that, unless it's like a hot cake or something, I don't know. Otherwise, it will take a bit of time. So when you're planning your relocation, you want to factor this in. You want to make sure that your relocation aligns with the timeline. You want to give yourself enough time to actually sell your house. The third thing to consider under the same scenario of selling your home before relocation is to do with fees. Because if you're going to use an estate agent to sell your home, then you're going to pay some fees, and also legal fees as well, and also early repayment charges. If you're going to pay off your mortgage early, yeah, you will be charged. I mean, I don't know about your mortgage, but I know that some mortgages will charge you for early repayment. So you want to look at your contract, the implications when it comes to fees, because yeah, it is going to cost you as well. Yes, you're selling your property hoping to gain profit, but that profit, you're going to share it with other people, in terms of fees, legal fees, estate agents fees, early repayment charges, and all that. And also, I'm starting to learn about capital gains tax if your home is appreciated in value. Yeah, there's so much I need to learn. There's so much. And I just didn't realize the financial implications of selling your home. I mean, with everything, of course, you have to go through a process, and it's all about resilience, perseverance, courage, just making a decision and just going through it, really. I mean, that's all you can do. If you're someone who has gone through this process that I'm describing, please, by all means, share with us in the comment section. How did you find the process? Because, like I said, the more I dig, the more I'm starting to realize that it's not as simple as it sounds. So yeah, it will be interesting to hear from those who have done it, who have gone through the process. Hopefully at some point, I'll have some people come on the channel, share some experiences with us. So anyway, moving along, the third scenario is renting out your property while living abroad. Because if you make that decision to say, I'm going to rent out my property, get a bit of money while I live in Zimbabwe, I enjoy my life somewhere in Thailand and so on, then understand the implications of that, because renting out your property automatically means that you become a landlord, and becoming a landlord has got some implications as well. Because I remember when I was a tenant, when I had a landlord, and yeah, there are some landlords that I didn't really like, because I felt as if I was being, let me say, micromanaged, for lack of a better term, because they kept coming to inspect the property to make sure that everything was working well. Of course, it was their property. They needed to make sure that everything was in good condition, which is what you're supposed to do as a landlord. You're supposed to manage your tenants. You're supposed to also maintain your property. But there were times when I felt they were infringing on my private time. But if you're going to become a landlord, these are things you need to embrace. You're going to have to manage your tenants, and you're going to have to maintain your property, because tenants will also complain about some things. They will call you to say, oh, this has happened to the property, can you fix it? You have to manage that situation. And also, if you've got tenants or a tenant who's not paying their rent, how are you going to manage that situation from afar, from across the ocean? And also, another potential challenge when it comes to renting out your property is that your tenants can just decide to move out. And if you struggle to find other tenants to replace those tenants, guess what? You're going to have to cover those repayments somehow. And if you don't have the money, then that is going to ruin your credit score. It is going to mean that your financial standing with the UK is going to be ruined. There are implications to that. And also, if your house remains vacant for a while you try to find tenants to fill that vacant position, then guess what? You also have to pay for council tax and other fees as well. You also still have to maintain your home. So yeah, that is extra cost that you didn't plan for. And also, if you leave your home vacant for a long time, let's say you can't find a tenant to replace those tenants that have moved out, what I know is that an empty house deteriorates faster than one that is occupied, because the one that is occupied, there are people there to look after things, to ensure the upkeep of the home. So those are potential challenges. And also, you're going to be taxed. I mean, I didn't know about this. Like I said, these are things I'm starting to find out for myself, because I need to have the information. Because if you're going to do something, then you need to plan. And a part of that planning is gathering the necessary information, know exactly what that looks like. So what I'm discovering is that if you're a landlord and you live outside of the UK, then you need to pay the taxman. You're going to be taxed. And I learned that there is a scheme called the non-resident landlord scheme for people or for landlords who live outside of the UK. So if you're renting out your property, then the taxman is going to come after you. You need to pay up. You need to pay your taxes to the HMRC. So if you're considering leaving the UK and you've got a mortgage and you're thinking, okay, I actually want to rent out my house, then I would advise you to read about this scheme because there are nuances to this scheme. So yeah, that's the third option, renting out your property while living abroad. The fourth and final scenario is managing your mortgage remotely. So you don't want to sell your property, you don't want to rent it out, you want things to remain as they are, and you just want to continue paying your mortgage as if nothing has changed. What has changed is you not being physically in the UK. So the first thing to consider in this scenario is the feasibility of that. Is that possible? These days, with online banking, the technology has come so far. It is quite possible. You can pay your mortgage from afar. And also these days, people work remotely because someone can actually have a job, can be employed by a UK company and be living somewhere else. So in that situation, things will be so much easier for you. However, if you live somewhere else and you earn in a different currency, then you may be affected when it comes to exchange rates, depending on what currency you're using in the country that you live in. So that may affect your mortgage payments. And also there are challenges when it comes to managing your property remotely. What exactly is that going to look like? Does that mean that your property is going to be empty with no one looking after it? If that's the situation, is it going to be safe? How are you going to make sure that your property doesn't fall prey to unscrupulous activities like things getting stolen, vandalized, and things like that? So how are you going to protect your property? Does that mean that you're going to be flying to the UK frequently to take a look at your property to make sure that everything is in good order? That is money as well. So how feasible is that for you? This option is not something that I would actually choose myself, because continuing to pay for my mortgage while it is just sitting there vacant, there's no tenant, I'm not renting it out, there's no income from the property, that is just a waste, according to my opinion. So yeah, these are the things to consider if you're planning to leave the UK, to go back home, or to go and start a brand new life in another country if you're a native of this country. The last thing I'll say is it is always wise to seek professional help. Yes, you can watch videos online, but like I said in the other videos, the professionals who make videos online speak in general terms because the video will be watched by a lot of people. But when it comes to your individual circumstance, that's when you need to sit down with a professional, mortgage brokers, tax advisors, and all that. So yeah, this is what I had for you in this video. As always, I hope you found it useful. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it as well. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.